Good afternoon, students. In the last class, we discussed with the, or we did the statement of profit or loss, isn't it? Means income items are there to be in the schedule 1, schedule 2, like that. Expenses item in the schedule 3. Take the total of both schedule 4 is the expenses item, schedule 3 is the total of the income, and then schedule 5 is the total of the expense, and then 3 minus 4, that is the 5, that is the profit we are calculating, like that. And also there should be one item, that is profit before exceptional items, extraordinary items, and tax. Also we are deducting the exceptional first, then we are getting profit before extraordinary and tax, then we are deducting the extraordinary item, then we will get profit before tax, and we are deducting the tax, then we will get the profit carried out or the loss incurred that in that business. This is the statement of profit or loss. Today we are going to see how a balance sheet is to be prepared. So we will look into that, how a balance sheet is to be prepared. So listen here. This is the new format of a vertical balance sheet where equity and liabilities are there. Under that, shareholders' funds, that is share capital, reserves and surplus, money received against share warrants, non-controlling interest, etc. That is the shareholders' funds. Then share application money pending allotment, that is the second item. Then third is non-current liability, that is long-term borrowing, deferred tax liability, other long-term liabilities, long-term provisions. Then current liabilities are there, that is short-term borrowings, trade payables, other current liability, and short-term provisions. So what all are there? One is the equity and liability. Under that, shareholders fund is that one. Shareholders fund. Number 2, that is share application money pending allotment. That is, if the allotment is pending, so that is share application money that is pending with the allotment money. Okay. Then third, under that, non-current liability. Then fourth is current liability. And the total of this. See, that is the thing we see here. Look, current liability, the short-term borrowing, the trade payable, other current liability, and short-term provision. Why? Assets include non-current assets. Excuse me. Assets. This is the liability. Okay, we will see when problems comes, because it is a simple also this one, but need to take care of the figure. Here only the net amount is to be put in the where in the allotted area. The rest all, that is the notes to accounts. There we are doing the working things. So non-current assets, under that fixed asset, tangible, intangible, capital, work in progress, intangible assets on development. Then non-current investments, what all non-current assets are there, like that. And then see, deferred tax assets or net, long-term loans and advances, and other non-current assets. While current assets are there, current investment, inventories, trade receivable, cash and cash equivalents, short-term loans and advances, other current assets. So this is the format for a balance sheet. Then what are the explanation with regard to the items with regard to explanation of equity and liability side of the balance sheet? We will at a glance we will look into shareholders funds. Under that, share capital, authorized, issued, subscribed and not fully paid up and fully paid up, par value per share, calls unpaid or calls in arrear by the director, by the officers, and also unpaid calls are there and forfeited shares are there. Means the shares on the okay, that is the forfeited shares. So that is the capital part, share capital. Then reserves and surplus. Under this subhead, following items are shown: capital reserve, that is reserve created out of the capital profit that we see in the, or we studied in the first module, I think middle part, isn't it? Appropriation of profits there. So capital reserve is there. Reserve created out of the capital profits such as profit prior to incorporation, profit on acquisition of business, അതായത് രജിസ്ട്രേഷന് മുന്നേ ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന പ്രോഫിറ്റുകൾ, അതൊക്കെയാണ് റിസർവ്ഡ് ക്യാപിറ്റൽ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഔട്ട് ഓഫ് ദ ക്യാപിറ്റൽ പ്രോഫിറ്റ് കെപ്റ്റ് ആസ് എ റിസർവ്. Then CRR, capital redemption reserve. It is a reserve created out of the profit on redeeming the redeemable preference shares. I think you studied this one also, isn't it? So that is the capital redemption reserve. Reserve created out of the profit on redeeming redeemable preference shares, securities premium or reserve, debenture redemption reserve, revaluation reserve, share option outstanding account, other reserves like general reserve, tax reserve, subsidy reserve, and amalgamation reserve. Whatever the reserves as well as the surplus part, so extra കിട്ടുന്ന amount, okay, comes under this area. So surplus, the balance in statement of profit or loss. In case the final balance of statement of profit and loss shown a debit balance, the same should be shown as the deduction from total of the reserve. Surplus അല്ല ഡെഫിസിറ്റ് ആണെങ്കിൽ ഈ റിസർവ് ഇന്ന് കുറച്ച് കാണിക്കണം എന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. Then money received against share warrants. A share warrant is a financial instrument which gives the holder the right to acquire equity share. A disclosure of the money received against share warrants is to be made since shares are yet to be allotted against the share warrant. These are not shown as part of the share capital but to be shown on the separate line item. ഇത് ഷെയർ ക്യാപിറ്റലിന്റെ കൂടെ കാണിക്കുകയില്ല, പകരം ഇത് സെപ്പറേറ്റ് ആയിട്ട് നോട്ട്സ് എഴുതി കാണിക്കുകയുള്ളൂ. അതാണ് ഓർക്കേണ്ടത്. So that is money received against share warrant. So this is the first thing. What is that? Share capital includes share capital and also the reserves as well as the surplus. Then the second point is share application money pending allotment. If a company has issued the shares but date of allotment falls after the balance sheet date, such an application money pending allotment will be shown in the following manner. Share application money not exceeding the issued capital and to extent not refundable is to be disclosed under this line item. So how it is to be? Share application money not exceeding the issued capital and to the extent that is not refundable, that is to be disclosed under the line item. അതായത് അതിന്റെ കൂടെ എഴുതുകയല്ല, അതിനകത്ത് നോട്ട് ആയിട്ട് എഴുതുള്ളൂ എന്നാണ് പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്നത്. Then share application money to the extent refundable, it should be refund, തിരികെ കിട്ടുന്നത്, or where the minimum subscription is not met, such an amount shall be shown separately under the subhead other current liability. So മറ്റ് current liabilityയുടെ കൂടെ എഴുതുള്ളൂ. That is if the amount is extent to be refundable, തിരികെ കിട്ടുന്ന ഇതാണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ minimum subscription meet ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല എങ്കിൽ then such an amount shall be shown separately under the subhead other current liability, and non-current liability is the third one. So one is share application, another is share application money pending allotment, third is non-current liability or long-term liability, which means that are due after 12 months. 12 മാസത്തിന്, excuse me, that is 12 മാസത്തിനുള്ളിൽ അതിന്റെ ലയബിലിറ്റി ക്ലിയർ ആക്കിയിരിക്കണം. അതാണ്, അതായത് 1 year. 1 year validity period ആണ്. Within that year need to clear that one. അതാണ് non-current liability. It includes creditors ഉണ്ടാകാം, isn't it? Bank loan ഉണ്ടാകാം. Okay. Then long-term borrowing. See the items. Long-term borrowing like bonds or debentures, term loans, that is from banks and from others, and deposits such as fixed deposit, public deposit, etc. Deferred tax liability, other long-term liability, long-term provisions, etc. And also there is current liability, that is non-current and current liability, that is short-term borrowings, the trade payable, like that you are aware about now, isn't it? The items. Then other current liability like interest accrued but not due on borrowings, interest accrued and due on borrowings, income received in advance, unclaimed dividend, outstanding expense, calls in advance and interest thereon, and also short-term provisions like proposed dividend, provision for tax, provision for contingency, others, etc. So these are the liability items. ഇത്രയുമാണ് ഫിക്സഡ് ലയബിലിറ്റി, കറന്റ് ലയബിലിറ്റി ആയിട്ട് എഴുതേണ്ടത്. പിന്നെ അസറ്റ് സൈഡ്, അത് നോൺ കറന്റ് അസറ്റും കറന്റ് അസറ്റും, അതായത് ഫിക്സഡ് അസറ്റും കറന്റ് അസറ്റും. ലൈക്ക് ദാറ്റ് explanation of the asset side on the balance sheet like Non-current asset in that fixed asset is there, tangible is there, intangible is there, isn't it? Like land and building, plant and machinery, furniture and fixtures, vehicles, office equipments, etc. Then and the presentation is this way. Gross value is there. We need to calculate the net value, like opening balance, additions during the year, disposals during the year, gross block at the end year. Out of that, depreciation to be deducted. Opening balance also should be deducted for the depreciation, and depreciation during the year should be deducted, and the total depreciation that is to be deducted from the gross block. Then we are getting the net value like that. Then intangible asset, okay, like goodwill, brand or trademarks, copyright, patents. So I'm not going in detail that one. Tangible, intangible. I'm going to assets, fixed asset. Okay. Then non-current investment, isn't it? Investments which are not held for the purpose of resale. It shall include trade investment, other investment, then investment in property, investment in equity instruments, investment in preference share, investment in government or trust security, investment in debentures or bonds, investment in mutual funds, investment in partnership firms, etc. like that. That is the non-current investment. And deferred tax, that is the net. And the long-term loans and advances like capital advances, security deposit, loans and advances to related parties, etc. And also other non-current asset like long-term trade receivable, others like that. So current asset, non-current asset. Fixed asset, non-current asset. Okay, that is for the entire period, isn't it? More than a year. By current asset value will be till 1 year only. So current asset, which are short period, but a long period. Such assets are expected to realize in cash or consumed during the normal operating cycle of the business. It includes current investment, like then inventories, the raw material, work in progress, finished goods, stock in trade, stores and spare parts, loose tools, others like that, and trade receivable, debtors, then cash and cash equivalents, short-term loans and advances, other current assets, that is prepaid expenses, advanced taxes, interest accrued on investments like that. And also contingent liability is there. Contingent liability in the sense means if value is to be generated not in the near future. So these are the items which may become a liability on the happening of certain events which is uncertain. അതായത് താഴെ നമ്മൾ ഇത് ഫുൾ എഴുതി കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് താഴെയായിരിക്കും ഈ ഒരു കാര്യം എഴുതുന്നത് കണ്ടിജന്റ് ലയബിലിറ്റി. അതായത് ഇന്ന ഒരു കാര്യം നടന്നിട്ടുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, അത് ഇതിനെ അഫക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നതേ അല്ല, പക്ഷേ അത് കൺസിഡറേഷൻ അത് അവിടെ വേണം, ആ ഒരു കാര്യം അവിടെ ഷോൺ ചെയ്തിരിക്കണം നോട്ടായിട്ട്. So this is the contingent liability. So these are the items which may become a liability on the happening of certain events which is uncertain. A footnote may be added to the balance sheet to show separately those contingent liabilities that are not provided for, like the claims against the company not acknowledged as debt. അതായത് ഡെറ്റ് കടമായിട്ട് അത് വരവ് വെച്ചിട്ടില്ല, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കേസിൽ അതിന്റെ പൈസ കിട്ടില്ല. Happening is uncertain, isn't it? Then uncalled liability on the shares partly paid. പകുതി പേ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നതിനെ വീണ്ടും അത് വിളിക്കാനായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു ആസ്പെക്ട് ഇല്ല, കാര്യം അതിന്റെ ഇത് കഴിഞ്ഞു. Then arrears of fixed cumulative dividends. Then estimated amount of contracts that is remaining to be executed on capital account and not provided for. And also the other money for which the company is contingently liable, that is liability in respect of the bills discounted not yet matured, liability in respect of the guarantees given by the company. അപ്പോൾ ഇതാണ് ഫോർമാറ്റ്. ആദ്യം ഫിക്സഡ് ലയബിലിറ്റി, then current liability, then fixed asset, then current asset. ഈ രീതിയിൽ ഉള്ള ഫിഗേഴ്സ് എഴുതുക മസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട്. പക്ഷേ വർക്കിംഗ്സ് എവിടെയാണ്? സെപ്പറേറ്റ് നോട്ട്സ് ടു അക്കൗണ്ട്. So now we are going to see a balance sheet where there should not be any notes to accounts required. Means the correct item, it is there that we are putting as liability, fixed liability, then this, then current liability, this, and the fixed asset, this, and the current assets, this, and then they take the total. That is without any notes to accounts. It means what? It is very easy just to put it, or just to take it from the question and put it as asset this one, liability this one, take the total. That is balance sheet of a company without notes to accounts. So, from the following information extracted from the books of Chand Publications Limited, prepare a balance sheet of the company as at 31st March 2018 as per Schedule 3 of the Companies Act. So, how it is to be, we will look into. Inventory 14, reserves and surplus 15, cash and cash equivalents 17, fixed assets intangible 40, fixed asset tangible 3 lakh, other current liability 2,000, other long-term liability 1 lakh, trade receivable 25,000, trade payable 65,000, short-term or current provision 25,000, long-term borrowing 2 lakh 5,000, share capital 1 lakh, current investment 30,000, and non-current investment 60,000. From this, we need to prepare the which one balance sheet. So first of all, look, balance sheet. This is the statement, vertical form. Horizontal, we are preparing like liability this side and asset this side, isn't it? This is the vertical form, like a statement where equity and liabilities first item. There is marks for the this one, means the items. In the horizontal form, we will put it as mixing of fixed as well as non-current, fixed as well as current assets, like or fixed liability or current liability. But in the case of a company, if you are preparing in this form only, you will get marks. That is one thing. So, equity and liabilities, how it is to be. First case, it is that shareholders fund. How much is the shareholder fund there? Under that, what is there? Share capital and reserves and surplus, that is already there in the question C. Share capital 1 lakh and where is the reserves and surplus? 15,000. So, that is first item is this. So, share capital, how much it is? 1 lakh. Notes to accounts is വേണം പക്ഷേ ഈ പ്രോബ്ലത്തിൽ ഇല്ല. നോട്ട്സ് ടു അക്കൗണ്ട്സ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഇതിനകത്താണ് ഇവിടെ നെറ്റ് എമൗണ്ട് എഴുതുള്ളൂ. The working we are doing separately. So that is 1 lakh. Then share capital is 1 lakh. Then reserves and surplus, how much it is? 15,000. Okay. Then second item, what is that? Share application money pending allotment. If there is no item, then also you put that heading. Otherwise, marks will not be get. So there is a form, equity and liability. Under that, shareholders funds. Under that, first item is share capital and reserves and surplus. Then the second point is share application money pending allotment. Allotment, no item. Okay. Then third is non-current. What is that? Liability. Non-current liability, what all is there? Long-term borrowings is there and other long-term liability. അതായത് current liability അല്ലാത്തത് long-term for more than 1 year. Need to settle after 1 year. But short-term അതാണ് ഏത് current liability എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ. അപ്പൊ non-current liability എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ long-term borrowings. Long-term borrowings, how much it is? 2,05,000. Then other long-term liability. Other long-term liability, it is 1 lakh. Okay. Next, so after that, what is that? Current liability. Under the current liability, what all things are there? Under the current liability, there is trade payable, that is 65,000. Then other current liability, മറ്റ് ട്രേഡ് പേയബിൾ അല്ലാതെ ബാക്കിയുള്ള എന്താണെന്നുള്ളത് ഷോർട്ട് ടേം ആയിട്ടുള്ളത്. It is 2000 other current liability that is already given in the question. Excuse me. Then C, short term provision. How it is 25,000. So take the total of all these, that is the liability side, isn't it? 5,12,000. So this is the liability side, like share capital, then that is shareholders funds and what is there else under that? Shareholders funds and reserves and surplus. Then second is share application money pending allotment. If in this question there is no amount for that, then non-current liability like long-term borrowings, other long-term liabilities, then current liability like a trade payable and other current liability, and also short-term or current provision is there, that also all should be done here. Then next is assets, asset side. Liability side is over. Next is assets. So first is equity and liability. Under that this is. Second is assets. Under the assets, one is non-current asset, that is fixed asset. Non-current asset, that is A, fixed asset. Under that, tangible asset, intangible asset. Intangible asset. So tangible asset there is 3 lakh already given in the question. Intangible asset, that is 40,000 also given in the question. Then non-current investment. Under that, A is fixed asset, isn't it? B is, what is that? Non-current investment. Non-current investment 60,000, that is also given in the question. That is directly from the question it is putting here. Only that. Without notes to accounts. Because it is directly given in the question, we are taking from there and putting it. Then this is the, which one? Non-current asset. Then number 2 is current asset, like credit debtors, inventory, stock, okay. So I have the current investments, 30,000. Then B is inventory as stock 40,000. Trade receivable, that bills receivable, trade receivable 25,000. And cash and cash equivalents. Cash and current asset. So cash equivalents, because it is always changing, isn't it? Our cycle, cash cycle, always changing. Cash ആയിട്ട് തന്നെ വന്നത് അത് സാധനമായിട്ട് പോയി വീണ്ടും ക്യാഷ് ആയിട്ട് തന്നെ വരുന്നു. അതാണ് ഓപ്പറേറ്റിംഗ് സൈക്കിൾ. അതാണ് ക്യാഷ് ആൻഡ് ക്യാഷ് ഈക്വലൻസ്, ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് മൈ കറന്റ് അസറ്റ്. സോ ഹൗ മച്ച്? 17,000. Here also the total 5,12,000, isn't it? So in this way balance sheet is to be prepared. So this is the format where നിങ്ങൾ statement of profit and loss ചെയ്തില്ലേ, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ബാലൻസ് ഷീറ്റിന് ഒരു പ്രത്യേക ഫോമാറ്റ് ഉണ്ട്. ആദ്യം എന്തൊക്കെയാണ് വരുന്നത്? ലയബിലിറ്റി, ഇക്വിറ്റി ആൻഡ് ലയബിലിറ്റിക്കകത്ത് ഷെയർ ഹോൾഡേഴ്സ് ഫണ്ട്സ്, പിന്നെ രണ്ടാമത്തെ ആപ്ലിക്കേഷൻ മണി പെൻഡിങ് അലോട്ട്മെന്റ്, ഇതിന്റെ പെൻഡിങ് അലോട്ട്മെന്റ്, പിന്നെ നോൺ കറന്റ് ലയബിലിറ്റി, കറന്റ് ലയബിലിറ്റി. അസറ്റ് സൈഡ് ആണെങ്കിൽ നോൺ കറന്റ് അസറ്റ്, പിന്നെ കറന്റ് അസറ്റ്. ഇതാണ് ഇതിന്റെ ഫോമാറ്റ്. ഈ രീതിയിലാണ് നമ്മൾ ഒരു ബാലൻസ് ഷീറ്റ് പ്രിപ്പയർ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. സോ പ്ലീസ് ഹാവ് എ ലുക്ക് അറ്റ് ടുഡേസ് ക്ലാസ്സസ്. Please check the problem and also the format for the statement of profit as well, profit and loss, as well as the balance sheet in case of a company, because entirely different from we are preparing for a sole proprietorship or a partnership concern like that. In the previous classes you studied that one, isn't it? So with that I'm going to conclude the session. So please have a look at this. Thank you for the day, and clear your doubts also as and when occurred. And also please see the videos as and when uploaded. So thank you for that.